Hi, everybody, and happy Halloween. So nice to have you here with me today. This is a beautiful time to do a reading because the veil is thin. It's a very liminal period where we can kind of pull back and take a look at what was, what is, and what's about to come through. Very great time for spiritual work, for meditation, and again, for doing a reading. So thank you for taking some time out of your busy day or your Halloween festivities to spend with me. We're going to do some really fun things with respect to the ordering of everything. I'm basically just doing a unique reading today, not doing my normal sort of ordering at all here. So the schedule is going to be as follows here. We'll start with some totems and traditions at the beginning because I'm always fascinated. Basically, Halloween will be the big totem, but I'm looking into things like Samhain and Day of the Dead and All Saints Day, All Souls Day, all of these things that comprise modern day Halloween. And it'll help us understand what we're going to be looking at as we get into the other part of the reading. So the big general reading today is going to be the second bullet, Messages from the Departed. We're going to connect with our guides, with our ancestral energy, with people that have already passed on in our family and say, hey, what should we be doing today? What should we be focusing on? You guys have much more of a wider view of that. So this is going to be a blessing from the departed, messages from the departed. I also want to tune in. We'll probably do a 3-card pull on this, messages from your higher self. And then questions here, connecting to all of the energies. What can we do right now, since the veil is thin, to release something that we don't need anymore? What should we be embracing? Show us, Spirit, what's coming in. What can I pay attention to? And then is there something right now that we need to keep around but reshape, remold? And then maybe I'll have a question too, and I'll see if there's a reader's choice at the end of all of this. So that is today's very special reading for Halloween. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and move into the totems. As I said a couple of moments ago, Halloween is the main totem, but what I'm going to do is look at some of the traditions and the celebrations that basically comprise modern day Halloween and see how we can learn from those energies. There's always something that I can take away from any symbol or any energy or event that comes through. So that's what I'm going to do here as we look at all of these totems and traditions. I'm going to go way back into some of the Celtic traditions of Samhain, but I also found out some interesting things about masks and mumming and guising. We'll be looking at All Saints, All Souls, and Day of the Dead. All right, so let's go into all of this. And again, this is just a topical overview. We could go much deeper, and maybe some other time on my podcast I can do this. That's something in the future I would like to take a deeper dive in. But for now, we're going to just cover it quickly so we can understand why we all dress up and go trick or treat. All right, so a lot of what we see in modern day Halloween can be traced back to Samhain, which is a harvest celebration, and it was showing the beginning of winter, kind of halfway between autumn equinox and winter solstice. It's a liminal or threshold celebration where the veil is very thin between the living and the dead, the world, the energy between the two. And so there were a lot of things that were done. I'm just going to cover some things, not all parts of this, but some things that we do see in modern day. It's basically the light that we have in that jack-o'-lantern. There was basically cleansing bonfires that were done. Divination, fun fact, also was done around the bonfire. And people also would light a torch and bring it back home and keep that light from the bonfire also at their place. So when I look at the little jack-o'-lanterns, it's very much like that. We're keeping a little bit of light here in that season and that in the darkness to try to keep things light and bright and safe. So when I'm looking at even the torch here in the King of Wands, to me, if we think of taking that torch or taking that light and carrying it with you, for me, that symbolizes that you are the source of light. Yes, we connect to a higher source, but we're not looking for the light in others. And I think as we approach November, which is really what we'll be looking at here for the rest of the week, but for today, we're right between the 2 months and the two energies of living and dead. The big message here is be your own connection to source, be your own light in your own life, and try to leave people brighter and lighter than you did when you found them. So we're not looking at trying to mute or diffuse or chase or steal light. We're looking to basically rekindle or kindle our own light instead. And that's the main thing that I took from the bonfire cleansing energies. And also, like, we're looking for lightness when the world starts to get dark. That's part of the reason we have these sort of festivals with fire and light around November and December. because we have Halloween right now, and then Christmas time and Hanukkah as well. We're lighting candles. The Christmas lights used to be candles on the tree, so it's not accidental that we're bringing light into the dark months. And in our life, we always want to bring a light and shine it into the darker or the more unknown energies. Okay. Wearing of masks. And this is something that as a reader, I can have a lot of fun digging into and delving into, because masks represent so many things. The mask that we show to our friends and family, the mask that we show to the world, sometimes the mask that we put on our face when you're putting on makeup or putting on an outfit, or the type of glasses that you're wearing. We're always putting on some sort of a disguise to kind of either enhance what we want to portray or to hide things that we don't want to show. So the fact that on this day in particular, we'll put on a completely different mask, it's always a reminder to go beyond that, or to lift the mask and just take a look at what's underneath, okay? So mumming and guising were things that people did, again, around this celebration in the past. And what would happen basically is they would dress like people that had passed and start to sing songs and verses in exchange for food, very much like trick or treat, right? And although nowadays there's just an expectation that you knock on the door and get something. In the past, you'd have to maybe perform a little bit, and that's what was going on with the mumming and the dancing and the singing. The costumes were thought to provide protection from the spirits, and sometimes you would dress up like people that you knew so that you weren't taken to the other side, or sometimes you just wanted to protect yourself in general from whatever spirits might be out there. And that's why the outfits were scary looking, like monsters or animals or things that would intimidate. It was not unusual for some of the younger kids sometimes as well to play tricks or pranks while dressed up, which definitely connects us to that trick-or-treat energy that we have nowadays. It's interesting because, like I said, this is a chance for you to explore. One thing that's fun with Halloween is that sometimes people get to show a side of themselves that they wouldn't, because they're uninhibited. If you put the mask on, you no longer have to worry about fitting a mold, acting a certain way. You get permission to just sort of like be freer and explore the more primal side sometimes of your personality. But it also allows for maybe a piece of you that is trying to get out to come out as well. So the positive side is that sometimes we have to put on a persona to be closer to our true selves, because we've invented something else in everyday life and we're really moving towards another version of ourselves. So Halloween is a day where you can kind of test that out. But this is also about masks. So this is a period of time where you want to be discerning in your life. We're not looking just at Halloween. This is a reading about what you need to focus on. So what I see for some of you is you may want to try something new, but you feel like you're stuck in an old mask. Some of you may be dealing with someone who's not showing up authentically, and this is about removing that mask or removing both of your masks so you can just see the truth. So that's why I put the devil card here, because it's about deception, hiding, and sometimes not always saying or doing what you need or want to do. So because you're held back by fear, anxiety, sometimes just by not feeling like you can speak your truth. And so in this period of time, you're being encouraged to be authentic, true, and possibly to just remove that mask, okay? This is a period where we see slow but steady movement. Whether it's spring or fall, it's kind of interesting because you'll walk out one day and you start to see the trees change, right? So it's for those of us in the northern hemisphere, you start to see a gentle shift, and then it's like overnight, all of a sudden, nature comes through with a paintbrush, and now there's like brilliant shades of yellow or orange or red, depending on what part of the world you're in. And same thing happens with spring. It's, everything seems barren for months and months and months, and then all of a sudden, there's a crocus coming through, maybe even when there's still ice or snow on the ground. And then maybe you see a few other buds that are starting to form, and then it seems like a week or two later, there's green everywhere. So it's subtle until it's not. And so this is a period during which your faith and your hope and your connection to the light is going to be tested. And so you want to keep the faith, keep the hope, and know that change is happening. But just like the whole thing that causes the seasons, the tilt of the earth and the orbit, it's slow moving, but then all of a sudden it's upon you. Can you believe it? We're right on the precipice of November. Tomorrow's November. For some of you watching in Europe or other parts of the world, it's already there because you might be watching this later. So this year is almost done, right? It seemed like it just began for me, but I've been going through a lot of life shifts in my own life as well, like losing someone, moving several times, and that took up a big part of this year. So sometimes you just turn around and you think, where did it all go, right? So my choice of card here with the Wheel of Fortune is both one of encouragement and also one to kind of keep you aware and awake. So the wheel keeps turning. Sometimes we're not looking, and then we finally notice the change. I'd love for everybody today to be more present and look at what you want to change in your life. Remember that perseverance and consistency are what are going to help you reign supreme, and understand that those slow changes are slow until they're not. So be patient with yourself. Redirect energy if you need to, if you're feeling a sense of impatience, and trust that there's a rhyme and a reason and a season for everything, okay? Let's talk about actually just a card in tarot that's really connected to today. So I love the Death card, and I think back to my tarot teacher, which broke down the symbols in this particular card. You'll see at the bottom a king with his crown on the ground. We see a child, a mother, and a pope or a bishop in the church. Basically, everybody is beholden to and affected by and is somehow going to be not able to withstand the energy of death. Death is change and transformation. We can look at it at face value, which is sometimes frustrating. It's like, yes, anyone at any point at any age can connect with that energy. And so, yes, we've all lost someone at different points in life. But this is also a symbol. Tarot is bigger than face value. So the symbol is transformation and rebirth within this lifetime. And then this becomes a very uplifting card. Because if you were to look at this from a completely different perspective, you see the sun rising in the background, right? A new day. We see the flag with the flower on it as well. Growth, regrowth, rebirth. And it's saying everybody at every step of life is capable of just making a change. The old king could change his ways. The young kid has his whole life ahead of him. The mother has the ability to change in the middle of her life. And someone who's really stuck in their ways, the representation there by the Pope or the Bishop, absolutely can change and be less rigid. So everybody at every point in their life can embrace the energy of transformation, can also be positively affected by external changes around them. And so the Death card really comes marching in saying, are you on board? Are you ready? It's time to change. And so today is a day where you can decide to make a really impactful change in your life, okay? We don't need to pass in the spirit to make those changes happen. Halloween is a reminder of the wonderful ability to begin anew. And visitations from those who have passed, just the fact that we're looking at, energies of the dead and rebirth and spirit, it's kind of a reminder that it's always there. We're just more aware of it in this point in time, which then opens the veil even more. All these celebrations are like bright lights to spirit. So this is a day where it comes marching in the next few days, actually, and it has a lot of fun because we're finally paying attention, okay? All Saints, All Souls Day are also around the corner, November 1st and 2nd. And I chose the Judgment card here because just like death, it shows the ability to rise up and to listen. If we're thinking of saints, I'm thinking of protection, and I'm thinking of the ability to live my life in the best way possible. So I want to pay attention to what Spirit's bringing through. All Souls Day, we pray for those who need to move to the next level. And so it's a reminder that we can also do that for ourselves, not just for those who have passed. Judgment represents that, again, both those in spirit and those here on the physical realm. These two cards are not just tied to those that are dying or who have died. It's also about those who need a rebirth in their living energies in this material realm. So let's look at these cards in a broader context and never face them with fear, but with curiosity of how can I change? How can I rebound? What can I do next? It's a time right now to forgive, to release ancestral and familial cycles. I didn't put that in there, but family cycles as well, and to move forward. These two cards want you to shift. And now let's finish up with a symbol that would come through for Day of the Dead, marigolds. For those of you that celebrate this wonderful holiday, you basically put marigolds everywhere to help welcome in or usher in the souls that have passed so that they can see that you've remembered them, that there's pictures at the altar, right? And today's a day to be grateful for all the lessons in our lives, to be also grateful for all the people who have passed away, right? And to also remember you're here. And so that is something. Sometimes we wish our time or we wish our days away, even the minutes, like, when is this going to start? When is this going to end? Don't ever wish it away, because once you're whisked away to spirit, you realize all the things you could or would or should have done. So today you can, you will, and you are connecting to all of those possibilities. So all of these celebrations, all of these traditions, all the rituals, they are connecting us to the beauty of life, right? So yeah, we're looking at the energy of spirit and those who have departed, but that is also embracing and enhancing and underlining the importance of one simple fact, which is you and I are here today. And we're going to do something amazing with this reading because of that. Okay? So let me see. I think that wraps up everything. Some interesting things with marigolds. They are annuals. They are wonderful if you're gardening with them. Very protective energies. And again, they're connected with solar energy in a lot of religions and traditions. So the sun is a reminder of the rebirth energy. It's the baby in tarot, one of the babies. And it's saying, I'm going to be bold, be myself, and do this because I can do this, right? All right, let's go back to the initial slide. I added a little pumpkin on this one as well so we can embrace today. So we're going to move on next to messages from the departed, which is basically going to be this. Spirit, what can we do today? What do we need to be paying attention to? What are the old cycles that we need to be looking at releasing? We're going to go into specific questions later in the reading, but I really want Spirit to come through to kind of help guide us, take our hand and say, here's what's available to you. Here's what you need to stop focusing on. Here's something you didn't expect, etc. And then I will still ask very clear questions just in case we don't get the clarity that we need in the main spread. With that being said, let's take a look at the Celtic Cross. All right, everyone, let's get into the main part of the reading here. We're going to be taking a look at messages from the departed and see what Spirit wants to bring through today. I'm using the Prism of Visions deck because it has these sort of beautiful interplays between light and dark. And I thought this would be a really nice card, or a really nice tarot deck, rather, to bring through. So it's beautiful to look at, has a very Van Gogh theme to it as well. So again, we're asking Spirit in this moment, what is it that we need to focus on? What is it that is subtly coming through that we might be missing? Also, are there messages from those who have passed? We'll look at that maybe a little bit differently when I take a look at Reader's Choice. I'll specifically call out messages from like children, loved ones, etc. So that just came to me, and I'll do that for those of you that are specifically looking for a special message. But right now, I'm asking for guidance on your life path so that you can do the best possible pivot that you need to be happy. All right, let's begin with your catalyst card here. And we have the mother energy coming through. The first message from the departed is, you are going to be okay. You're more than enough. This comes through especially for those of you that may have lost a mother, a sister, a grandmother, someone in your life that was really there to support you. The mother card in reverse reminds us of the resilience of self, the resilience of soul, the ability to be like this pearl that comes through a difficult situation shining and just being amazing. And so pearls, interesting thing, you know, it's like a little grit of sand that basically then forms this beautiful callus of energy or calcification, I should say, of energy inside of the oyster. And basically from a moment in time where we feel like, oh, this is irritating or this is difficult or it's emotional, we start to create that beautiful pearl-like energy. And you are, whether you know it or not, you are shining, or you're creating that extra sort of strength from the grit, from the grittiness of this past year, of this past experience, from whatever in your life is calling up this mother card, okay? This also, for those of you that have parents that are living, is a chance for you to improve the connection between you and your mom, or to release it if it's, again, sometimes we just need to kind of become more independent. So definitely energies around maternal energy is coming through, or I should say messages around maternal energy is coming through. And this understanding that you are more than maybe you realize. We see a snake around the pearls, around the eggs and pearls at the center. The snake is power, and the pearl is grace after a difficult period, becoming beautiful because of the grit, the experience. It's kind of like when we look at the symbol of a lotus blossom or any kind of water lily, where it has to push through all of that muck and that murkiness, and then we still see the beautiful flower at the top and all the leaves as well. They have to push their way through to get to the light. So for some of you, this has been a period where you've pushed yourself through. This is also just spirit in general saying, take care of yourself. Whenever we get a card like Empress reversed, for instance, or like the Queen of Pentacles, both of them very maternal energies, it is saying that you may be doing a lot for others. Some of you, that might even be a part of your role, like if you're an administrative assistant, a nurse, a teacher, or again, you're a mother. This is saying, don't forget about yourself. There was that song from the 80s, Don't You Forget About Me. I would rewrite it with this card and say, don't you forget about you. Don't forget about yourself. Prioritize what's important for you, and you're going to rediscover that in this period of time, okay? Beautiful beginning message. Let's move into the center of the spread here. And we have the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups came through, I think, on the weekend as well. I think it was over here. But anyway, the Eight of Cups is a cyclical card. And crossing the Eight of Cups is Five of Pentacles, which is parental healing. So we're going to look at these two together. All right, so with the Eight of Cups, we have a chance to make and break a cycle. I'm definitely going to have to pull the traditional card because this one tells us nothing with the swirl of light. So I'll do that in just a second. But this one is quite descriptive. So Five of Pentacles sometimes is like you're on the outside looking in. We see this beautiful day that's breaking, but right under this person, it feels like the world is raining on them, or there's snow, and it's sort of like, when can I escape? When can the next thing happen? So this is about allowing yourself to be happy. Sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to do that because, again, maybe we feel like it's too much or it's selfish. But one of the things that you came on this planet to do was not only to discover more about this, the beautiful world, but it's soul work. So who are you? How strong are you? How resilient are you? The answer is more than you give yourself credit for. I just found the Five of Pentacles. Let me get the Eight of Cups as well. Again, I love these cards, and I think they're great for today, but it's important to also see the traditional cards. So you'll always see me going between the two if you watch my readings. So this Eight of Cups says a lot more than the one that we just looked at. We see someone here stepping out on their own and saying, in this moment in time, I need a break. I need a refresh. I need to just sort of find out who I am. And if you've spent a long time with someone or doing something like work or school or extracurricular, and you're just sort of burned out, but you're not sure, am I finished with this yet? This particular card is basically saying, get back and find that bird's eye perspective, get what you need to realize that. And then this is also reminding you that even if one person lacks the capacity to be there for you, there's always more than that one person. Behind the Five of Pentacles is always shelter, or in this case, you can just move beyond it and there's a new path, a new door, and there's a new dawn breaking behind it. So this one's a beautiful one, but the person's stuck in the past. This could represent the past. The person isn't there, but the lessons or the energies that they imparted upon you may still be there, kind of raining down or snowing down on you. But the world around you has changed. The structure that we see here has also fallen into disrepair. So this is saying, if there was something that you structured your life around, a person or a particular way of thinking, it's time to break that down and break through and get into something else, okay? And in the background, I actually see like, looks like some fruit or an apple on the tree. It's basically showing that there's this new prosperous period coming through as well, okay? Take special care of yourself right now with the Five of Pentacles. This can indicate issues with joints. If you have arthritis, if you have sprained your ankle or had a fracture like I did on my foot, take care of that. It's also saying avoid that. So be very present and mindful of where you're walking. And again, one thing that I do, it wasn't what caused my injury, but now I just keep my phone in my pocket because I have to be very aware of where I'm walking. So I'm always present, and I try not to multitask unnecessarily, especially while my fracture is healing. So be present and take care of yourself. All right, and then if we were to just look at the, again, the newer version of the Eight of Cups that was here, what I do like in this particular deck is we see daylight or daybreak. We do see the person walking. If you look, I got to get really close on it. We see them walking, and we see a new season coming through at the center. It's actually a lot more spring-like. So for those of you in the southern hemisphere, this is probably especially for you, spring and summer energies coming through on this. For the rest of us, it's saying that we're starting a new cycle, and a lot of the fruits of the labor are going to come across over the course of the next year. Just push through the season ahead, okay? With this, there's also the ability to go back to something. So whenever I get these two cards, it's saying, for some of you, you've been in a cycle of self-worth questions, like, can I do this? Am I worth this? Why do I keep having issues with people that I date that don't respect me, or people that aren't paying or giving me my fair share? And so the main thing that you're going to do right now is stand up to them, because right next, if we look at this cycle, we see this desire to want to be friendly here with the Six of Cups. Again, this sort of putting others first energy with the Five of Pentacles, and Justice reverse, saying this no longer serves or suits me. I'm going to put a line in the sand and just say no. So this is about finding your voice. That's definitely a big energy that Spirit wants to bring through in this moment in time. Let's go into the deep past and see any sort of issues from the past, or who also might be coming through. All right, so for those of you that are looking for a message from a younger energy that might be in Spirit, pages would be children a lot of times. Even if they passed away when they were older, they're usually going to show up as a page if I'm reading. So the Page of Cups, it's basically saying that there's a lot of love. So much love that like the cup can't hold it. We had to turn it upside down. It's overflowing. But there's not enough for this. Like, this person can't heal everything that you're going through. Only you can heal yourself. And emotional healing and mental health are primary focal points in this message. So if you need to get assistance when it comes to that, talk to somebody, whether it's a friend or a therapist or some resource nearby you that you can say, hey, I'm going through some difficulties, what can I do? Or you just need to focus more on asking for things in relationships, like, I need this to be happy, or it really makes me upset when you're doing this. Like, letting the emotions come out a little bit more is going to be important for healthier interactions in the future. But as a single card, and again, I will look independently. I've decided this just in the throes of this reading. I will look at different people in your life as I do Reader's Choice. I'll look at spouse, parents, children, probably when I pull the Reader's Choice. But this is a younger energy coming through with overwhelming love. For some of you, there can also be this feeling like, especially if it is like, let's say even if you're older, but you know your child passes before you, it's hard because that's not what you signed up for. You're like, I'm supposed to be the one that crosses and helps them, but know this, that there's love, and the love carries with you. You carry the love with you to the other side. So I'm just getting a lot of love coming through, and a message to take care of yourself and to be happy. Prioritize that, because if we look at the center cards, whether you're the child without the parent, because that can be this, the mother and the page here, or whether you're the parent without the child, I definitely see the separation energy here. And this is a card of feeling sad or feeling isolated. But the Eight of Cups is saying, get out and explore the world. There's so much to see, and there's so much more out there. We can't stay permanently in that. We have to move beyond, and it's not about forgetting. Again, the Eight of Cups is not slamming the door on something or someone, but it is saying, I need to go beyond this. This doesn't define me. The past doesn't define me, okay? Your grief doesn't define you. Also, your lack of grief doesn't define you. There's always a precipice where you one day just wake up and it's a little bit better. I've started feeling this with my foot fracture. I'm actually seeing the doctor today to get a new X-ray, but and it's been probably like six or 7 weeks. But one day I have like a air cast. You're walking and you're like, I don't feel any pain. This is good. This is good. This is great, actually. Or I sleep and I wake up in the morning and forget that I have an injury because it's starting to recover. Our heart works in the same way. Anybody that's ever been in a toxic relationship, whether it's like a job or a loved one, maybe for the first year, there's a lot of pain, a lot of regret, a lot of thoughts. And then as you start to get out into the world again and experience new things, you replace that. New things start to come in. One day you don't even think about that person. And that's a good day when that happens. And so it's happening. There's an unveiling. You're allowed to feel happy again when something passes from your life. That's not disrespecting. That is embracing the fact that you are part of this world and you're carrying with you memories of the living. And that's what I try to do with all of my relatives who have passed. There's something, I had an uncle that had a great sense of humor. My dad had a good work ethic. My mom had a big heart. I carry with me elements of those people and I celebrate them every day by being, in some small way, a little bit like them. So just celebrate the memory of the people that have passed and know that that is like the best offering that you can do 365 days of the year, right? All right, Six of Cups. Again, children. This can also be best friend energy or a relationship from the past. So for those of you that are hoping to reconnect, especially for those where these people are still alive, not just in spirit, Spirit is telling you reprioritize best friends, brother, sister, or friends from the past, because right now is a time where you can use that and really benefit from that. They may need you as well, so that's good. Spirit is also saying for those of you looking for love, that higher love is coming through. When I am doing a romantic spread, I don't do a lot on here, but when I do look at love, I want to see one of 3 cards. I'd love to get the Lovers. I'd love to get the Ace of Cups because that shows that you're ready. I really love to get the Six of Cups because that tells me that the person that you bring in has this playful, familiar, friendly energy that it's one that will stick around. So for those that have been alone for a while or looking for new connections, Spirit's saying, I'm working with you. You just have to be awake, aware, and willing to see what I'm giving and sending your way. So let's flip this card upright and take a look at what's going on here in the forefront. So we can see this woman really just enjoying herself here in the pond, but what's coming through of note is all of these lilies around her. And I mentioned before that one of my favorite totems is a lily because it shows the perseverance. Basically, I think when we were looking at the pearl, we were talking about that, but it shows the ability to take the grimier, the difficult, the more murkier parts of our life and push through that and still become something radiant, brilliant, and light and bright. And so for some of you, you're still kind of halfway in the mix. She's still in the water, which means that she's starting to see the bigger rhyme and reason. The head also is kind of like the flower head, but we want to see her fully emerge from the water so that she is into the new dawn, into the new day. Don't give up. Things take a while. We were talking about time. It's slow when you focus on it, like you're watching water boil, right? But when you just change your attention, in the snap of a finger, basically things are done or something new is coming forward for you. So the person that you're waiting for, the opportunity that you're waiting for, the reconnection to the inner child, which is also the Six of Cups. Even though we see a woman on this card, it's traditionally 2 children. So she's sort of looking back maybe at that inner child saying, all right, let's do this. Let's do something bold that I've never done before. And when we reconnect it to what I was talking about with the channeled messages, masks, you get the chance to just try on a new persona, a new mask. We have no problem doing this with, like I said, either clothing or makeup. The same is true when you decide to try something new in your life, especially a new career path or learning something new. You have to kind of approach it with this feeling of this could be fun. And that's what the Six of Cups energy reminds us of. It's a reconnection to youth. And when we're younger, we don't overthink what's possible. That only comes when we're older and people tell us, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, you won't do this. So you get a chance now to think, why can't I? Why shouldn't I? Let's see if this will work. All right. We have the Five of Wands here in reverse in the crowning position. Spirit wants you to have some more fun. This is a card of extreme work. If we look at it closely, we see people competing, pushing, really sort of not necessarily enjoying the moment. And you see circular motion too. That's one thing that I actually quite like with this illustration. You can see all of the symbols of the movement. You can see where the wands are going, but it's not really making progress, right? So the message from beyond, from the departed is, there's more to life than work. And in a relationship, it shouldn't be all you. If it feels like it's work and just work and not a lot of progress, this is a reset moment where you are going to, what we see with the next card, basically speak your mind and say, this isn't working, or I need this, or don't do that. And so this is a chance to really work with the throat chakra and stop the overworking or the spinning of wheels. Motivation is also a big part of Five of Wands reversed, sometimes the lack of vitality or motivation. And so this is also reminding you of the importance of reconnecting with what we saw with the Six of Cups, something that makes your heart sing, something from youth. And also saying, if we turn these both upright, you've done enough work now to give yourself permission to be happy. You also don't want to live your life with any sort of regrets. We see her looking over her shoulder. So if this is causing you to regret your time and energy expenditure, it's time to move into something better, brighter, and more connected to who you are. As we look at what's coming through in the future, a reset, a change, and righting a wrong. And this also cyclically shows that whatever was in your familial ancestral energy no longer has to be. We see the person with the sword cutting the energy of the snake that's about to bite them. So this to me, or maybe just has bitten them. So this is saying, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to cut this energy out because it doesn't serve my higher good, because maybe someone did bite the hand that feeds. So this could be you really supporting someone and they do something that's not right. And it's the straw that breaks the back, and you just say, no more. The good thing with justice is ultimately she prevails. And in this period of time, you're being asked to reclaim power. And if anyone in your life has made you feel like you couldn't do something or has taken something from you, Justice Reverse is saying, no, I'm gonna fix this. So it is a good time, if you need to engage with a lawyer or get any sort of advice, to do that and to really focus on changing the karma. And it is, because we're looking at messages from the departed, this is saying the cycle ends with you. This is a cycle, it's a circle around this person, and they're saying no more. Even if it hurts a little bit right now to say no, it's going to help me more than it hurts me. So stand up for yourself. That's what I'm getting here. This could also be a decision to separate or divorce. This is an acknowledgement from Spirit also that you're doing what you need to do for self-preservation. Sometimes the strongest thing that you can do is to say no and to walk away, because you realize that that is not going to be sustainable in the long run. Okay. You got all the fives, basically, almost all the fives, because we have Five of Cups, Five of Pentacles, Five of Wands. We're only missing Five of Swords, and honestly, I'm happy that we're missing Five of Swords. You've already learned that lesson, which is you can't win everything. You can't make everybody happy. But the Five of Cups is a chance for you to see that love is just around the corner. So in this particular card, we see someone throwing over the edge things that no longer serve them. They may be reaching, and there's a moment of regret when they say goodbye to someone or something and think, oh, wait, was I ready? But there is something better awaiting them. It's harder to see here, but if I get really close, you can see the two cups here bubbling over, almost like with champagne. We see the stuff that no longer suits them. So as you release, as you let go, there is this half second of hesitation. And because, again, there was a lot of intertwining energy here with this sort of justice card. So it's okay. It will be okay. And there is something better. higher love, better partnership, better self-respect. And when you take that out, then we just have the Two of Cups, which is love. So it hurts to let go. It hurts to walk away. And sometimes it hurts when someone says no to you, because these two cards together, this can be rejection. And this is focusing on the rejection, not on who was there all along, not on that apple that's ripe for the picking that we actually see here in the Five of Pentacles. There's something better. And that's the focus right now. Spirit wants to shift your attention over here. Both Five of Cups and Four of Cups. It's more obvious in the Four of Cups. It's literally like hanging there right in front of the person. Five of Cups, their attention's already misdirected or diverted, and the cups are behind them. So there's a little bit more work that you have to do to see that. And for me, my little Two of Cups in the background is Apollo. Everyone asks where he is. I have to do these so early while I'm doing live premieres that he's still asleep. So once I get my new apartment, I'll be able to bring him up at the beginning, but we'll give him a little bit of love back there. So just like me, that would be exactly where the Two of Cups would be located in the Five of Cups. There's someone that has your back. He loves to be right behind me. He literally has my back. He's protecting me, and he feels safe back there. So you may have someone too. It might be an animal. It may be a child or family member or best friend. It could also be love that wants to come in. Take a look around when you're doing any sort of activities or social engagements, and make sure that you're looking, because someone might be just a little bit shy, trying to get your attention, looking at you, and they've locked their eyes on you, and then you see them, and then they look away, and it's like, that person's interested. There's someone or something energetically around you that is subtle and requires your initiative and your initiation to kind of go and make something happen, okay? So be the spark in that situation. What's going on in that environment? Sparks. The Magician is just that. The Magician here isn't focusing or believing in his energy, though, because the card is reversed. So as I look at this really closely, we see him. It's kind of cool, actually. It's almost like a little version of yourself. That's what I'm seeing. And this is like a bigger-than-life magician. What a cool illustration here. With the card reversed, the traditional magician has all the elements in front of him or herself. And sometimes options can be overwhelming, because you think to yourself, where do I go next? What do I focus on? And it's kind of like having the TV, the phone, the computer on at the same time. Too much input. So my advice from Spirit today, as I'm looking at this card, is to really focus on one thing at a time. You can do a lot, but sometimes that makes you just sort of like a generalist, not a specialist. And Spirit really wants you to specialize and focus. So I hope that resonates. Also, don't negate your magic, your energy, your potential. You are more than whatever has either stepped out of your life, or that you've released, or maybe that has kind of passed into spirit. There is a sort of lacking or a loss here, and that would be a natural part of this, because I'm looking at messages from the departed. But the main message that I see here is in the Magician, which is you hold the key, you hold the spark, you hold the power. Never underestimate that. In fact, do something with it. The chain of whatever, for some of you, it could be a financial chain here, because Five of Pentacles can be debt or bad luck with jobs or finances. That has been broken. For some of you, this can represent sadness, and that can be broken too. You've decided to choose a happier path, and your power awaits basically with this. Also, you're going to see through manipulation. Magician and High Priestess, two of the best cards. They show up in the environment, and they show up reversed. It can be someone that's misusing power or trying to use their own sort of intuitive or persuasive skills against you, but you can't fool the Magician and the High Priestess. They see through that sort of thin form of manipulation. So when and if that happens to you, for those that resonates with, stand up to that and say, that's not right. That's not what we agreed to. No. Simple no is very powerful. This is a spark. For those of you in this card where we saw the incoming Two of Cups here, there it is up here. This is saying you're going to be able to sort out the next best thing because you feel the spark. You can't force it, though. Don't force it. And again, that's what I kind of get with this particular Magician. This may be like, could be a couple of things. When I look really, really close, it could be kind of like a cricket. It could be a fairy. Lots of things that you could kind of see here. But whatever it is, he's kind of manipulating it. To me, the one thing that I would say is you are not beholden to anybody else. Don't get lost in their energy and their magic, in their in the sort of love spell that you fall under. Make sure that you keep your feet on the ground. The card is reversed, so that's one last message there. Keep your feet on the ground. All right, let's go ahead and focus on hopes, fears, and opportunities. Spirit and your relatives and energy that from the departed basically is saying prioritize your personal health. This has been coming through a lot lately, but one thing with strength reversed is if we put all of our energy into trying to fix everybody else's problems, there's nothing left at the end. Look at this really closely. We see like a lion's den. We can see all of this competition. We see someone bigger than life that's rising above this, but we do see you maybe feeling like you're in the middle. The traditional strength card, which we covered on the weekend too, lots of synchronicities between these two readings. Definitely check out my 7-day forecast if you haven't already. I'll put a link here. But I talked about the strength card, and I mentioned that you don't want to let other people put words in your mouth. You don't want to try to do that for others. So, use your own voice, let others do the same. But also, you can't force people to feel, do, or fix things in their life. That's something that only they can do. And so you're being reminded of the importance of sticking in your swim lane and not trying to change everyone and everything, and not trying to prove yourself to everyone and everything. Once in a while, the strength card is good. It's saying, you thought you had me. No, you don't. I can do this, and I'm going to show you. So we like strength. It can overcome any obstacle. But we also see the other side of that. You put your hand in the mouth of the beast too many times, it will eventually bite back. So don't try to manage up or over-manage something. So let's say you're in a toxic work environment or a toxic relationship, and you're constantly fighting. Usually you get your way. Or like in a work situation, you cover your boss or you cover a coworker one too many times. And what happens is ultimately you might get in trouble for not communicating that they weren't doing their job. They may snap at you for doing something wrong. And you're like, I was trying to help. But ultimately, it's better if you focus on taking care of your life, your energy, and your swim lane. If and when they need your help, you can help. But if they don't want it, it creates a bigger problem in the long run than it might solve. The strength card in reverse is also liberation. So let's say you were part of a family or a love unit, like basically, let's say your partner was very controlling, or your mother was very controlling, or your father. Someone in your life came in and always tried to show you what needed to be done. That is what the strength card in reverse is. Basically, separating from that, which we actually see coming through in the cards here in the form of justice reversed, or even this card, which the person's tossing that energy over the cliff. It's very liberating because then you realize I don't have to make that person happy anymore. I can be myself. And so this strength card is basically using its voice and could be just kind of like escaping this bigger dominating energy. So in that realm or in that particular situation, I would say this portends good things because it's showing liberation. And Spirit is telling you, take care of your body, take care of your mind. Don't feel like you have to fix everyone for everything. And if you need to liberate yourself from someone or something where it's constantly trying to control you, please do that, okay? You have a powerful outcome card here. We have the King of Swords. We love it if the final card is a king. And so the King of Swords is very much in his power. And we see all of these lovely monarch butterflies in front of him. He is wearing a mask in this particular illustration, which is interesting. He's trying on a new persona. And he has successfully gotten through a difficult time. I think if I were to look at swords here, they're overcoming a beast. All the different court cards have a role in that one, but he's moving on, it looks like here. Moving on and becoming something different. Using your voice to communicate is going to be a big piece of this as well. Not just like talk, but I'm saying communicate what it is that you want to do, who it is you want to be, what it is that you don't like. And by doing that, you start to call it into creation. So speak up, ask, declare, use your voice in a powerful and impactful way, and never underestimate the power of positive thoughts, positive actions, and positive words. Let's expand this and look at health, wealth, love, and destiny and ask Spirit, What do we need to know? What do you need to know right here and right now? As I look at health, a general sort of note, I'm here to look at options and doorways and energetic metaphysical things in your life. If there's something going on in your physical or mental health, you'll work with a professional. But looking at the oracle card here, let's see what the message is. Don't underestimate the beauty that you have. We have so many sort of warped standards on what is beautiful right now. Spirit, your relatives, energies from beyond are basically saying, have you looked recently and just sort of celebrated the beauty that you possess in your uniqueness? We don't have to match up to what's on, well, most of the time what's on magazines is already retouched anyway, so it's not real. So be real, be you, and see the beauty in that. And I think that's the key thing here. The grounding energy of the wood nymph and also the water here. So this is, again, grounding yourself in something that provides positive reinforcement in your life. The water element here is to prioritize your emotional and your mental health as well. Let's look at the cards and just see if there's some additional messages with respect to healthy choices, healthy options, etc. You are not only encouraged, but completely capable of breaking some sort of a cycle and also getting out of something that doesn't serve you. 5 of Pentacles, you're not getting enough from a job for some of you. You may not be getting enough from a relationship. It's someone that can't be there when you need them most. You can be in the same room, but they're not truly listening to you. So this is a chance for you to break free of that. That's not healthy. It's saying that one of the things that some of you want to do is either prioritize starting a family or spending more time with your family. Maybe you want to spend a little bit more time with friends. Definitely connecting more with the people that you love and disconnecting from people that make you feel less than. Being happy in general, and that's not an easy thing. For some of you, it's something you'll have to work with a professional to kind of get a firm ground on that, or firm foundation on that. But it's okay to be happy. It's okay to move on. And it's okay to move into a path that's more fulfilling for you. The 8 of Cups at the center, the importance of changing your environment, even if it's temporary, like taking a walk or working in a different part of the house, or, if you're at work, maybe going into a conference room, changing up that environment can be so essential to just clearing your head. Some of you just need better sleep or exercise or diet routines because physical strength is showing up as being diminished. So really focus and prioritize that. All right, those are the main messages for health. And a last one here again, taking care of yourself. All right, moving on to wealth. We have Dharma unfolding, and it says, remember that you are on a path, take one step at a time. I say this all the time, to the point that you guys are probably tired of it, but take one step at a time to happiness. And so this is really, I believe that the Page of Cups for some of you could be really showing a period of time where the work that you've been doing, because we saw overwork and underpaid as being 2 elements here. And this card is saying, no more of that. It's time for you to pivot. Now, we don't always have to do a complete reset when we pivot. So sometimes, there's this desire, well, I'm just going to quit. I'm going to go in and say, forget about this. This card is saying one step at a time. Find a place where you can go to, save up enough so that you have a security net beneath you, reach out to someone that can support you as you step through the change, and then take the first step. It'll be a lot more sustainable. You won't trip and fall. So that's all this is saying, one step at a time. And it's kind of like the Fool. Every day, one step closer to your dream, knowing that you're tracking in that right direction and that it's okay to do what makes you happy. Let's look at the cards here. I think it's time for some of you that are, like, the 5 of Pentacles is not a sustainable energy for the long run. 5 of Pentacles and 5 of Wands. Not enough money, support, or resources, or respect. Too much work. So clearly, some of you are just working so hard. You're actually doing a great job here with the 6 of Cups, but it's not enough for you. And your energy's tapped out. And your body is paying the price here. So for those of you that feel like it's too much, it is too much. Speak up. You might get what you're asking for, but more likely than not, you're going to decide to move in a direction that's better for you. So in that case, if you've come to the point where you want to quit, step out, divorce, whatever it is, get the security net first and get the next thing that you're going to jump to first, and you'll be okay. Many of you may know, if you don't, because you don't necessarily tune into all the videos, but I had to step out of my previous apartment. I was able to get released from the lease because they weren't honest with me. There were termites. And before I decided to leave, I found this Airbnb and knew that I could stay here as long as I needed until I find the next place. And I'm being very picky and I'm waiting for myself to heal for that. But I found the interim thing that I needed, which was this. So find your security net before you give the paper saying I quit, or the legal document saying that this isn't right. Always have the buffer. Don't just go out into the unknown, because that is more chaotic. So have the next step planned out, but I'm getting from many of you that once you do that, take a step in that direction, you'll be okay. And then take one step at a time. Don't rush it this time. And I think that's really pivotal and key for all of you. Let me see if there's anything else that's coming through here with Spirit. All right, I mentioned this earlier, and it's something that takes a long time in your life to kind of understand. But if it is someone that you're covering for, or it's a boss that's not doing their job, be careful of doing their job for them or covering too much. Once or twice in a blue moon, not a big deal. Constantly becomes a little bit more problematic, and it could set you up for complications, and we don't want that. Okay? I see that when you do throw your sort of resume out there for consideration, you say no to something, you're going to find something better. The glass ceiling breaks and we have a King of Swords. Any king card is great, but you have to rewrite and rethink the way you're going to present yourself. So if you're a creative and you have a website, get that website redesigned and updated. If you haven't really had someone look at your resume or CV before, go in there and put out the best version of yourself and make sure that you're not underselling who you are, because this is self-confidence. And I guess that's the big takeaway here in Spirit is if someone said that you couldn't do it, they're coming through with regret now, because this is saying that wasn't true. You can do it. You are better than that. And it wasn't right. So I can see a bit of an apology here from Spirit. This was wrong. And this is what you need to do to break the cycle. And you have more power. You're bigger than life here. We see that a couple of times. We see the person here. We see them here. Bigger than the foreground. So you are more than what you give yourself credit for. And it's time to prioritize happiness right now. If there are any debts or any bills or anything that you need to deal with, focus on that first. You can bring that into balance. Balancing your checkbook, balancing your energetic expenditures, that's the main thing that I'm picking up on. And slowly moving towards a path where it's more satisfactory. For a little bit of time, we can do something we don't like, and we can probably do it decently well. But after a long time passes, it starts to also kind of eat away at your general health and well-being, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, those are the messages primarily for health. For wealth, and it is tied to health and happiness. But I think the main thing here is to advocate for more money. If you are trying to buy something, it's too expensive. If you are getting paid, there's a little bit room for more. And if you're spending, there needs to be more saving. And that's basically what I see. We want to push it into the Six of Pentacles, which will give you more than enough. And you're very close. But something has to be cut, or you need to step away from something or balance something first. Now let's move on to love and relationships. So we have, if you lost someone that you love a lot, because that's what this can be, they are here helping every single day. We have the Magic Guardian. And it's basically showing you what I talked about with the King of Wands, where I was saying, that tradition of taking a little bit of the bonfire back home. It reminds us that we carry on the traditions, we carry on the spark, and we also have our own fire too within. And this is Spirit coming through to say, I'm here for you, I'm helping you, and you can access that each and every day as long as you're willing and ready to embrace it and trust it. Let's break this down into 3 different messages. I'm going to start with those that are in a relationship, those that are looking for love, and those that are single and happy. And again, for those in a relationship, I might also be receiving messages from the people that you cared about the most. So I'll start with that, and then I'll see if they have some advice on your current relationship. All right, for those of you that are wanting to connect with someone who's departed, again, we're getting a very parental energy coming through. And they want you to get back into the real world, is what I'm seeing here with the 6 of Cups, the 5 of Cups. And they want you to prioritize your health. It's okay to go through grieving takes time for each and every one of us. And they're happy that you're thinking of them today. But I actually see them advocating for it comes through very maternal, like don't work so much, exercise and eat a little bit better, say no to people and to things that aren't respectful of your time and energy, and basically advocating for your general well-being. Okay, let's move this on to people that are currently in a relationship. The biggest challenge in current relationships is an imbalance of energy. Justice reverse can just be the scales kind of topsy-turvy. We see one partner that is feeling like they're on the outside looking in, one that's really emotional, that could be going through mourning or difficult energy. And it's sort of like one partner's doing the lion's share. So in a relationship, it shouldn't be that. Like, this is too much work. This is exhaustion. This is depletion of energy. And this is saying, like, you can't do that anymore. So it's not so much just like my way or the highway. It's saying I'm exhausted and I can't keep showing up the way that I'm showing up. You can't change someone, and this is a reminder of that. And you can't do the lion's share of the work all the time. So deciding how much, how often, and where you want to show up, and asking another person in the relationship to show up when you need them as well. Like, I need more here, because that's basically what I'm seeing here, is a feeling of not having enough, not being listened to. With the Five of Pentacles, you're always either the other person's sometimes here, or in this case, they're not here. But there's, whether you're in the same room or in different parts of the world, sometimes it feels like there's an ocean between you. So working on communication, and that's why we've got the King of Swords. No matter where your relationship's at, it can benefit from more communication. No matter where your relationship is at, more balance in it. And then also returning to the things that the two of you love. Six of Cups. How did you meet? What did you love at that time? What are the common interests? How can you kind of get back into that playful energy? Rekindling that spark is going to be really important. The cycles around money, or feeling like you're on the outside looking in, or with self-worth and all of the things that brings through, those are the pivotal things that need to be shifted out. Some of you, it just may be too much work, and the Justice card reverse is saying that's okay. You'll end up in a really good position if you decide to exit. For those of you that speak your mind and find the balance, you're going to be glad that you spoke up as well. Communication is my number one piece of advice. The things that you can work on, let's say everything's going well in your life. Five of Pentacles and the Strength card is still about improvements in your general wealth and health. So this is saying spend wisely, more wisely, but also take a look at moving a little bit more, particularly legs and ankles and feet, making sure that part of your body, if there's any arthritis or joint issues, that you're taking care of that and your partner's taking care of that. So an improved focus on health and wealth, even in a healthy relationship, will bring more balance and sustainability. Improvements in communication across the board, better, and a reminder that you're not your partner's parent. You're not their mother or father. So if they won't do something and it's detrimental, you have to kind of like sort out whether you want to be watching that story unfold, because it's not up to you to fix them. And if they won't listen to you, you've basically done all you can do. But ultimately, if you communicate and if you find balance, I see good things. If you decide that you can't do that and move on your own, that's also good. I think I highlighted everything that wants to come through here. One last thing actually that I'm seeing here is a lot of focus on children. Five of Pentacles is children and parents and children. This is a new child. This can be twins. But what we can also see here is that you're not going to repeat it. Okay, so one of the big purposes of today's reading was messages from from beyond, from your parents, from ancestors and family. You are the end of a cycle. So this could have been neglect or abuse, or just not a lot of respect or support. Breaking the cycle of that, having a better relationship with your children, and making sure that they have better relationships with their sibling and with you as well. Better family energy is coming through. You broke the cycle. You're breaking it as we speak, okay? Now let's move on to those that are looking for love. If you're looking for love, it's around you. We talked about this. This is like I petted my dog in the background. Sometimes you just need to shift your perspective and see who or what's waiting for you, and turn on your sort of charm and your light. The Magician card has great chemistry and great ability to sort of magnetically pull people into his or her life. So don't underestimate your charm, because it's coming through strong even if you're not aware of it. Someone's attracted to you. Could be a Leo coming in, by the way. Could be also a really great air sign. So Either way, I like who's coming in. I like the air sign a little bit more because the card is upright. The Leo seems to be just a little bit more controlling or needing of your energy. The air sign seems to be very upstanding, very communicative, very independent. And so it's a nice match to you. Libra for sure could be coming in. If it is a Libra and I'm looking at that, then that could also, here's the thing with them. They're not afraid to say what they want. A little bit critical. I will say that if it's a Libra, that because justice can be Libra. Maybe better if it's Gemini or Aquarius in this situation. But either way, you have choices in front of you. Could also be a Scorpio. You have a lot, actually. Here's one thing that I'm picking up on. It feels like you could be more discerning. So when you're looking at what's next in your life, what chapter, what relationship energy you're trying to pull in, don't just say like you're looking for a partner. It's so vague and you could pull in any type. So be willing and ready to wait a little bit for the right kind of partnership and be just discerning enough, a list of 7 to 10 attributes, and then let it go. And then time-wise, you could just say, I'm ready for it now, but I don't need it now. And then focus your energy on something else. So discerning but detached is what Spirit is basically asking you to do, because you got a lot of people showing up here. And you're a little distracted here energetically. This is, again, the main focus. Now we're going to ease into single and happy. Both single and looking and single and happy have the same focal points, which is improve your general health, improve your wealth. So prioritize that and bring balance to that and end any familial or ancestral cycles with respect to that. Take a look at what's around you because there's a lot more than you might anticipate. Focus on emotional and I would just say general mental health right now. That's the most important piece. Work smarter, not necessarily just harder. Saying no to things that are exhausting, not supportive, that distract you or that deplete you. And in doing so, you'll call in the partnership if you're seeking it. And even if you're not, you're going to be seen as someone that people look up to, that's respectful, that they're not going to mess around with in the long run. And who could ask for anything more than that, right? Now, all of this brings us to a wonderfully abundant message from the departed here, which is your fortune is changing. This is very colloquial here. You've won the lottery, but the bottom portion is what matters the most, or the caption or the subtitle underneath it, saying make room for wonderment. Imagine that there's something greater than what you have. That's one of the fun things if you do play the lotto. I don't recommend that here. I think what the universe is saying more symbolically is take a bet on yourself. Imagine that this change, especially when we looked at the career here where we had the Dharma unfolding, where it said, remember that you're on a path, take one step at a time to happiness. We don't want a shortcut. Lottery is kind of like a shortcut, and it's a combination of the Tower, the Devil, the Wheel of Fortune. It's too much too fast and you're not ready for it. But this one said you've already won. It's not saying go bet on yourself. It's saying you've won. You have this room for expansion, but you have to make room for it. So there's a stillness and there's a quiet that happens before the new day, before the storm. So this is the calm. This is the quiet. This is the moments before the sun rises. And in these moments before the sunrise, beautiful things can happen. You have the ability to dream, explore, and then to regain faith and confidence in yourself so that when the sun rises, which can represent the new opportunity, the new dawn, the new day, you face it with a heart open. We want this page not upside down, but open so it can receive and connect to source energy. And that's the biggest message coming through from Spirit today. Let's reconnect with all of the bonuses that I'll be looking at today. So we just went through general messages from the departed. Let's ask now what your higher self wants to bring through. All right, so messages from higher self. Let's see what you need to look at but maybe aren't paying attention to. Guess what came through again? Another representation of Five of Pentacles. In this moment in time, it's time for you to prioritize your healing and also to realize and recognize the worth that Spirit certainly can see and your higher self can see. You are a pearl. So all of the grime and difficulty that you've had to go through has created a stronger shell and this ability to shine, to be graceful under fire. And whatever was is no longer, whatever sort of held you back energetically, resource-wise, as far as support goes in your life. That is the illusion of the past, and you're releasing that, and you're prioritizing happiness, and you're prioritizing worth, and you're not going to accept any longer anything less than the best, because you are a pearl. You have that beauty, strength, and value, okay? And that is the main message there. And when we look at all of the cards here on the table, including this one that I just pulled, what we saw here was a breaking of this cycle. This Five of Pentacles is connected to the Justice. This Five of Pentacles, both of them are lacking someone in the picture. You saw the traditional one. And so the interesting thing here is that you're being asked to just sort of do this particular part of the journey on your own, and there'll be something gained from the independence of being able to prove to yourself, I could do this. Not only can I do it, I did it, I'm doing it. All right, so I definitely see that breaking of cycles, and eventually you sitting in a much better position when it comes to all of that. I'm going to pull a clarifying card and just say, when it comes to money, is there one thing from your higher self that you could do to really bring in additional resources? Not just knowing that you're worth more, not just speaking up against anybody that's not kind of like letting you have your worth, but is there a specific thing that you can do? Three of Pentacles. Okay. If you want to get additional training, this is the card of college and education and training and trade school and any kind of mentorship. It does not have to be in a traditional educational perspective. But the other thing here is saying just get started and create. This is the card of writing and even here architecture, but it's building something beautiful. Build it and they will come. If you build it, they will come. So if you have a story to tell, if you have a curriculum to write, if you have, I'm looking at furniture in my head. So if you wanted to make something that is like a tool or a resource for others in some way, shape, or form, even like a physical object, get it into production. You have something that you're sitting on, this idea for developing yourself in a way that's going to be very beneficial, or something different. When I first started to read cards, I was talking to someone and she told me, like, this is going to open up everything for you. And I listened to it and I heard it, but I didn't understand. And years later, it totally did. This was the biggest and most important thing that I did in my entire life, because it changed everything just by learning to read cards. I did a lot of other things, and I'm capable of doing a lot more besides this. But this is the thing that opened my life up and opened a lot of doors for me. So all I had to do was decide I'm going to try, right? And keep working at it. And that's what the Three of Pentacles is saying. Try something new, learn a new craft, learn a new trade, or build something that you really care about and see what it brings. You might be surprised, okay? Let's look and see what I was going to talk about next. All right, so we just looked at messages from your higher self. The question next is, what do you need to release in your life? What is no longer serving you? I feel like we've talked about it a little bit, but the next question will be here, what can you release? Let's use a different deck for this. All right, what can you release in your life in this moment? Okay, it's time for some of you to make a physical move. The universe or the world card reverse is saying, I'm going to either move physically from this place to another, move from a relationship into independence, or move in with someone, or move to someplace. It's either moving out or moving in. It's also saying I'm not going to limit my expansion in any way, shape, or form by thoughts or actions, or I'm not going to allow anyone else to limit that. The world card is one of publication, of communication on a global level, engaging with people way outside of your borders. And so the reversal of that is saying, don't limit yourself by just what you see in these four walls or in the boundaries of your city, state, or province. It's not going to be that. There's more than this. And your heart is calling you to go in that direction and basically to explore. So releasing the feeling like this is it is how I would say. There's something that's far greater than what's in front of you. And release the fear associated with exploring whatever that might be. Okay? Let's now take a look at the next message. And so the next thing that I wanted to explore was what to embrace. So we got a little bit of both with the universe card. It's saying, you are limitless and you are supposed to explore a little bit more, but let's see if there's something else to embrace in this process. There's our wealth card. We got the 10 of Pentacles. So this is a time for you to really focus on grounding yourself, building up something that you care about. I think that for some of you, when we were looking at the 3 of Pentacles, it is about deciding like either the schooling, the education, the building of something bigger, the fact that you can actually probably sell this to a larger audience or share this with a larger audience. It's going to bring in the abundance that we see here. Some of you also want to focus on marriage. This is marriage. It can be work, and it can also be a decision to just really prioritize investment and management of resources. So that's what you're supposed to fix and to focus on a little bit, is to bring it from the 3 or the 8 or the 9 of Pentacles all the way up to the top and have more than enough. And there's some self-sufficiency with that as well. Okay? Some of you understand that one of the legacies that you might be leaving in this lifetime is going to be the family, the people that you've touched, and this can be outreach work as well. Okay? Beautiful and very grounded and very abundant. We do see that the tree is in that state of winter or fall or spring. There's life beneath the surface, but it's not necessarily showing up just yet. Based on this, I would say it's spring because of the green grass underneath it. It's going to take a while for the fruits of your labor to come to fruition, but when they do, they're going to be beautiful. And for some of you, they'll be surprising, and it starts small. We just see one fruit initially, but then, eventually that whole tree will be covered up because the 10 of Pentacles, typically it has the tree of life over printed on top of it. Fun fact. All right, so let's go on to the next message. So we just talked about what to embrace. Is there something right now that you can work on reshaping? I feel like each one of these were just almost one ahead. But reshaping, we'll see if we can take that one to the next level. So what can you reshape? Because we get a little bit of that answer with what I just said, but is there something else that you can focus on? Now we're talking about emotional well-being and existing relationships. We have the Queen of Cups in reverse. Your happiness matters. So many lotuses coming through today in different decks. So again, there's a representation here that the difficult work will be worth it, and that there is love awaiting you. And this is a card, like I said, of marriage and partnership. So for those of you that are single and looking, or single and happy, there still may be a partner on the horizon that's going to help you through this next period. This is also saying that you deserve happiness. It's time. It's the right time. It's the right place. And you've absolutely earned this opportunity. Okay? So prioritize your happiness. And for some of you, that could be in relationship status. It could just be deciding, like we saw with the Dharma card here, that you're going to take one step at a time. And when it happens, you're also going to say, I am open to receive this. I deserve this. Yes, I am ready. Okay? Let's look at the next one. Now we're going to go to viewer's choice. So for this one, I want to dig deeper on, for those of you that tuned in today to legitimately get messages from those who have passed, I'm going to pull a card for different types of relationships. So I'm just going to use regular Rider-Waite-Smith here. Let me shuffle it. I always go to this one, so we're going to use it for this portion. So let me give it a good shuffle and see what messages want to come through. All right, so for this, we're going to take it into a few different areas. I want to start first with those who have lost a partner, a husband or wife, or someone that you were dating. So we would expect this card to come through. The 5 of Cups is a mourning card, just like we would see with judgment or death, but there's permission to love again. I mentioned this even with like parental energy, but this is about getting back into the world and experiencing the love. You actually got the 5 of Cups here, and it's showing up as you. So they're saying that there comes a point when enough tears have been cried, enough remembrance has been paid to what was, and this is saying don't lose out on what can be. They are there with you. The 2 cups behind the person also represents the love of the departed. So it's like a ghosted 2 of Cups. So they hear you, they're with you, and they also want you to be happy. And that's what we saw here when it was something to focus on changing in your life. It's happiness and receiving love again, okay? So you and only you can decide the timeline that works for you with respect to what I've just talked about, but there is a permission, encouragement, and wish from those who have loved and lost for that partner wants you to love again. Okay? Let's focus on those who have lost a parent next. So for some of you, this may be, it's difficult, and I understand. I've lost both and recently lost one. Dream energy is where the parents might be coming through the most. One thing that they want you to focus on in your life is to really prioritize your stress management. It's a very parental thing, right? They're coming through and saying, you're working a little too hard. You're not getting enough sleep. We want you to be happier. We want you to be more balanced. So get that part of your life back where it needs to be. And also don't worry so much. The Nine of Swords is typically an overly amplified version of a fear. And so you can take like one little grain of what that fear is and it might come through, but mostly we just amplify it and make something bigger than it needs to be. So this is saying you have more potential to get through any situation than you give yourself credit for. Take better care of yourself, have a little bit more fun, make sure you're getting enough sleep. And again, it's a very parental thing. I think that's the main thing to focus on here. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what can come next. There's really beautiful things that are coming through for everybody, as we saw in the main spread. So self-care is the main message that I got from a parent that was lost. Also, for many of them, this isn't what they wanted either, FYI. So no loss is easy. Different losses kind of like take on different energies if it was like sudden or unexpected. But they don't want you to worry. I think that's the main thing. Don't worry about me. That's the Nine of Swords is about worrying. So release the worry, focus on your life, focus on your health and well-being, and do what they would do for you as a way of honoring them. Okay? Let's look at those who have lost a child, whether they're young or whether you were older and you still think of them as your baby. Let's see if there's a message from that child. Well, they're coming through, like I said, children usually come through like pages. They are there. They are listening. They want to talk to you. They're also helping you and they want you to get out and do things. Very, very loving energy coming through from all the departed today. But this one is a very communicative one. Get out there and talk. Talk to me if you want to. Get out and do things. They want to see more activity and more action. And I see a very vibrant energy on the other side. This is not someone who's standing still. They're having some fun. Pages are playful. So it's a very strong energy for anyone who lost a child. They're okay. And they want you to get out there and talk and do and explore. Okay? And now let's just look at a general, an acquaintance. When we love someone, it could be a best friend, it could be a teacher, it could be a pet. I'll look at pets separately, but let's just see a general acquaintance that you loved and cared about that I haven't covered yet. That could be anyone in your life, including a relative, an aunt, an uncle, etc. Someone that isn't just in the general family or, Okay, so let's see. Someone else that qualifies as someone that you love. They see, feel, and understand your pain. They don't want you to go through that any longer than you need to, but it seems like it's cutting a little bit deeper in this situation. The two strongest cards for grief were the parental cards and now this sort of other person in your life. Sometimes, isn't it weird, like a mentor or, a neighbor or maybe an aunt or uncle that even stepped in and felt more like a best friend? That energy hurts more because you share more with these people sometimes. So you're allowed to feel pain. You're allowed to go through this. They feel it and receive it on the other side too. But the Three of Swords reversed is about releasing pain. And it's about saying there are better days to come. And this is not going to be something that you feel forever. But there's love coming through here. It's still a heart at the center of this. And they don't want to see you in pain. Okay? But they are there with you. Just like I saw with like the Five of Cups earlier. They're definitely there and they're definitely feeling that. All right, for those who have lost a pet or pet, basically. Let's look at this. Sudden is what I got. This was a sudden shift or a sudden loss. And there's a period of adjustment. And sometimes, I can think back to when I was a kid and lost a dog. You come home and the place is empty, right? And this is about creating new structures and foundations in your life that can support you in the way that unconditionally that pet supported you. Because there's nothing like this. There's nothing like turning around and seeing someone there that's so happy to be with you, right? And so I understand. I've been there, and it's not easy. And it's sometimes even harder than losing a human connection. And that's why the tower came through. Take your time. Don't rush. It's probably advantageous not to immediately go into adopting a new pet. And if anybody tells you to get through it, no, it takes time. But finding some structures and foundations in your life that support you, that's the key thing. All right, before we wrap up today, I'd like to do a final card. So if there was any question that I didn't answer, this can be now a question directly to a departed family member or a question about the future, whatever you want to focus on. Go ahead and meditate for a second, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just send the question out there into the universe. And I'm going to select a deck of cards here, and we're going to take a look and see what Spirit has to say about your question. So we got the Four of Pentacles as the answer to your question. And the Four of Pentacles is a card saying, release all limits. A lot of times we hold on to something longer than we should. And this is saying it's okay to let that go, particularly when it comes to areas like career and relationships. Let's say there's a current relationship and you're hanging on because you're just afraid of what life might look like if you're not a part of that union. Maybe there's some financial dependencies there. Maybe there's just fear of being judged if you let it go. Sometimes we stay in a job way longer than we need to because it's just, again, maybe for the money, maybe for the title, maybe for fear that you can't match that somewhere else. This is holding on for the wrong reasons. Even with grief, it can be that too. Holding on because it's a comforting thought, because at least you're used to that. And opening up could then open you up to pain. So there's always fear of what could be rather than what might be possible, what beautiful things might be able to come through as an upgrade. And this is saying, think of potential possibilities, I should say, not so much all the potential pitfalls. It's good to be a little bit constructively critical, but not just critical. And so this is not a yes, no. This is more of a reprogramming and reset energetically and emotionally, saying this is not enough to sustain, and this is not where I want to be. Therefore, I have to move myself into this direction so that I can open myself up to receive more. So see your worth, see the possibilities, take it one step at a time. In the Thoth deck, this is a little bit more foundational. So just lay down the foundation right now and focus on tomorrow and what's coming through and keeping your eye on that horizon. Again, I really wouldn't read this as a yes, no. If you were wanting a yes, no, I would say not yet. More is necessary. Like when it comes to, if there's an offer on the table, we need a little more money. But if you're wondering, like, should I wait any longer? It's a no. It would also be like, no, you should act now. You probably waited long enough. So we need to see more resources, possibly less waiting or less procrastinating, and also more imagination and more optimism. All of these things will open you up to potential. And the Four of Pentacles, the big positive that I can see with this is that you're really good at protecting yourself. So there comes a point where you have to take the training wheels off, where you have to break free of the chrysalis, where you have to take one step in that right direction, and just a step at a time. Again, looking at this one step at a time towards enlightenment, never underestimating your ability to be magical, never underestimating that you've already attained the worth that you should be able to command from others. So leaning into your self-worth and realizing you are beautiful, because all of these came through in the expanded portion of the forecast. Okay. This was a very special Halloween reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I did some different things than I did last year, and let me know if you liked what you saw. And in the meantime, thank you very much. If you did enjoy this, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like as well. Also, please follow me on social media. It's always at Nicholas Ashbaugh on all major platforms, or nashbaugh on Twitter. Remember, of course, that I don't offer private readings and I don't use direct messages. So if anyone tries to approach you asking for product or service, that's not me. This is the only way that we connect. Thank you to everybody that has been a longtime subscriber, who has been a member, or who just joined today. If you gave back in super stickers, super chat, or memberships, you make all of this possible, and I couldn't do it without you, so thank you so much. And that, my friends, brings today to a close. From Apollo and I, lots of love and light. Let me see. Yeah, he's sleeping here. I'm going to leave him. We'll bring him up again as soon as I get a new apartment. But he's like, Dad, don't you dare. Let me just rest back here. But you know, he's a part of the reading, just chilling out in the background. So one of these days, I'll be repositioned and I'll be able to bring him up at the beginning. But in the meantime, it's kind of nice to see him in the background. All right, everybody, lots of love and light. Have a great day. And I will see you on Thursday and Friday for the next round of monthly readings. And remember, I'm always live every Sunday as well, and Monday. All right, take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.